darkness continues.
On July 18th, 2012, 22-year-old Deshon Johnson was doing what he did every day, waiting for the bus on Broad Street on his way to work. But that day, Deshon was struck and killed as the bus pulled up. His mother has now lost her only child, and it happened 1 year to the day after she herself had been in a terrible car accident.
He had come home to help take care of her and to help provide for her, and this was a kid who did not think about himself. He thought of his mother first.
To this day, Deshon's family has no more information than they did the day he died, but they believe the bus jumped the curb. A grand jury voted not to indict the bus driver, but Deshon's family still does not know what evidence was presented to them. They were set to meet with a prosecutor's office Thursday and were hopeful to get some answers. But just as that meeting was about to begin, Deshon's mother became so emotionally distraught that she fainted. She received medical attention here at the courthouse and was taken to the hospital.
It's very difficult to sit there and watch because you want to offer some type of comfort and support to her, but there's only so much, we can't bring him back.
But what they will do is continue to fight for answers. Hamilton says that bus stop is extremely dangerous and it needs to change before there is another tragedy there.
The right-hand side of the bus jumps the curb every time.
In Newark, I'm Barb Consiglio, FiOS 1 News.
Open your mind.
Dark exodus. The protest. Dark exodus. Open your mind.
You know.
Yeah, X. Dark exodus. You understand? Yeah, X. You understand? Open your mind.
You know, you know.
You understand?
Yeah, X.
Open your mind.
Dark Exodus. Dark Exodus. Dark Exodus. Dark Exodus.
And peace, folks. And welcome back to another edition of the Proper Thought Series right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, but you knew that already. That's why your black asses are here. Special show tonight. Y'all know, because we do a lot of things here. And one of the things we do here is we talk about young folks that have been killed. We usually talk about the folks who've been killed by the police, unjustly. We have their mom on, dad on, whoever to talk about it. But tonight is a little different. Tonight, we're not talking about a police killing. We're actually talking about young Deshon Johnson tonight. And he was killed by a city transit bus. Yes. His mom is here tonight. Lady NAOMI Johnson will be joining us momentarily to discuss this, man. And she's seeking justice for her son. And she's also seeking a change in legislation to keep this from happening again. And if it does happen, people can be held accountable for this. But first, y'all already know how we start the stream off. Always start the stream off with thanking you good folks for your likes, your shares, your views, your subs, and of course, your hard-earned pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and 50-cent pieces, because I realize you don't have to do it, man. You don't have to show up to these damn streams all the time. You don't have to sub. You don't have to like. You don't have to share. And you definitely don't have to drop your hard-earned coins on this platform. But you good folks choose to do so, man. Night after night, week after week, stream after stream, you are here. All right? And I don't take you lightly, man. I never have, and I never will. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm appreciative, and I'm thankful for all of you good folks. The good folks who hang out there, and good folks who hang out in here. All right? All right. While we wait for Lady NAOMI to come in, I might as well go ahead and share with you T.P.O.T's programming notes. Yeah. Few programming notes, man, because we got a few shows coming down the pipe, and I need to share them with you while we wait for Lady NAOMI. Tomorrow, Brother Amiri will be here, and he's doing, one of the T.P.O.T challenges. Yeah, Brother Amiri will be here. And And like I said, it's the Amiri challenge. Brother Amiri's going to come up here, man. He's going to lay down his precedent, lay down his talking points, and you will be able to come up here and challenge the brother. Yeah. He said it's not going to be any particular topic. It's going to be pretty general, pretty generic. So come on through tomorrow night, man, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Brother Amiri is back for the Amiri challenge. All right. All right. Then Wednesday, we coming right back at you with another installment of What About? Y'all know What About is a new series we started here, because y'all know we usually start a new series at the end of every year. And What About talks about some of the secrets we keep, man. And yeah, this week on What About, we will be talking about OLO, our lost ones. Yeah, that's right, our lost ones. Because as I always say, we're not that far from dysfunction. Some of our people that smoke crack, some of the people we know, they get high and they drug addicts and all that kind of stuff. And then we have people related to us that's always in jail, always locked up, and also kind of foolishness. But they are folks, so what are we going to do about it? So this week's installment, or should I say next week's installment of What About, we'll be talking about our lost ones. So make sure you're here, man, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. You Negroes know. But tonight, Lady NAOMI Johnson is here. And she's going to be talking about this thing. She's going to be talking about her son, brother, Deshon Johnson, I should say, was killed at a bus stop, allegedly by a reckless bus driver. When I looked into this, man, and I saw the stats of how many people have been killed by buses in Jersey, man, it's unbelievable, man. It's a problem. I mean, those New Jersey bus stops are very, very dangerous. They're dangerous, man. They are. And something does need to be done about it. Maybe they need to redesign the bus stops. Maybe they need to retrain the bus drivers. But far too many people have been killed by buses, all right, in that neck of the woods. And brother Deshon was one of those people. And surprisingly enough, the person who ran him over, or killed him, I should say, nothing's happened to them. And from what I understand, I know Lady NAOMI can explain it better. This guy had a history of doing these kind of things, and a history of driving reckless. And I believe after he killed brother Deshon, he still was working and continued to drive reckless. We'll get more specific about it when Lady NAOMI comes through. But that is the story that I know about. But like I said, man, I looked into, how many people get killed by these things, man. It is crazy. Shout out to brother SKC. What's good with it, brother? I see you up there. Lady Nisa is here as well. What's good with it? Peace, Lady Nisa. Brother Supreme. Yeah, man, a lot of people have been killed by buses. All right. And most of them at the bus stop. The bus driver is either distracted, or, he may be drunk, or he's just a horrible driver. But many people have been killed by these city buses, man. It is a problem. It's a serious problem. What's good with it, brother? E. Taylor 704. I see you up there, brother. Yeah, I mean, it's a thing, man. You're not even safe at the bus stop. It's like you know. And when I read into brother Deshon's case, man, the guy who did this, was known as a reckless driver. So how he continued to work afterwards, how he was working before brother Deshon was killed, it's amazing, when you look into the guy's record. So we're going to talk about this tonight, man. And it seems, because like I said earlier, we usually get up here and we talk about, people who have been killed by the police, but not tonight. Tonight we're talking about something a little different. And those of you who live in the New Jersey area or any metropolitan area, if you're catching those city buses, you might want to be extra careful. You might want to keep your head on a swivel, man, because many people have been killed. All right. I think upwards of 115 people per year. All right. Before brother Deshon. And I don't think that it has you know, descended any. So it's dangerous out there, man. Just catching a bus is dangerous. All right. It's dangerous. Let me see what's going on here. I did send her the link. At least I think I did. Y'all know I'm old, so I'm old. And if you're watching out there, Lady NAOMI, please check your email. Please check your email. I'm going to resend the link. Just hit that link. They might want you to download the app, depending on whether or not you're going on your phone or not. So if you're watching, Lady NAOMI, I just resent the link to you. I know when I was younger, right? 12, 13, we would catch buses, and stuff to the mall, when I couldn't convince the old man or my mom to take us, we would catch buses, to the mall. And where I grew up, the bus stops were, they were under like a small plastic gazebo, with benches in them, so you were about 3 feet away from the street. There was a gazebo there where you literally sat in, right? You sat in there and you waited for the bus to pull up. I know there's a few of them here that I see in my travels, but I also see bus stops where it's just a sign, and it says, bus stop on it, and it says whatever bus is coming. So those bus stops, there's nowhere for you to be, and you got to get out there and you got to hail the bus. So you have to kind of be out towards the street, right? To, flag the bus down, let them know that you want to get on it, because if they don't see anybody out there, they're just going to go, right? So there is a bit of danger when you're standing out there and you're waiting for one of these things that doesn't have like a designated area for you to be in, for you to wait at. So there is a twinge of danger there. From what I understand, brother Deshon, the bus jumped the curb. Okay, it jumped the curb. Okay, she says she's on her computer now. If you're watching, Lady NAOMI, all you have to do is click that link. Just click it and it should bring you right in. If you're watching. Stream y'all is kind of funny at times. Yeah, just click that link and it'll bring you right in. I think she might be having some computer problems, y'all. Dude, we'll take this bus off and we'll put a picture of the young fella up there. Now, I'm not that familiar with Brother Deshon's case, per se. I think I heard of it. It's been a while. I know he got killed by the bus. I think it was in 2012. So it's been a while, but I think I had kind of heard of it because I was living in New York still in 2012. I didn't come down south until 2014. So I think I might have heard of it. I'm not sure. I somewhat familiar with it, not totally. Not totally. You know, not totally. What's good, Brother Coffee? I see you up there, brother. Now, Brother Coffee says Reno is kind of behind in time where the bus stop is in a dangerous blind spot and it would hit you. I think that's what's kind of going on in Jersey. From what I saw, Brother Coffee, and what I read, there are some improvements that need to be made. Okay. Hold on. Lady Naomi says she did click the link. I don't know what's going on. Something's happening. Did you download the StreamYard app, Lady Naomi? She says she's watching. Well, how about this? I'm going to put the link in the chat, Lady Naomi. How about that? Nobody take this link. Let me know if you're in the chat or not, Lady Naomi. She says she's watching. Must be her first time using StreamYard. Okay, you say you're watching. What's good, Brother Ralph? I see you up there, brother. I'm trying to get Lady Naomi in. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put it in the chat, Lady Naomi. Go ahead and hit the link. Only Lady Naomi take that link. No one else. That link is for Lady Naomi only. Do not click that link, because if you do, I am going to block your ass. Try to hit it from there, Lady Naomi, if you're listening. Take it from there, from the chat room. Might be easier. Okay. Go ahead and hit that link right from the chat, Lady Naomi. I don't know what's going on. We're having some technical difficulties, y'all. But we're going to fix it. Okay. She's in there. Yeah, just click the link, Lady Naomi. Just click it and it should bring up a screen and say, do you want to join this here StreamYard? Okay, she says she clicked the link. And what's happening? Nothing? Is nothing happening? Okay. will do. Just hold tight, everybody. We're having a few technical difficulties here. Trying to get Lady Naomi in here. She is here. Okay. She is here, good folk. I need to get her in here because I want to let her tell the story. All right, there it is. Just sent it, Lady Naomi. It should be coming through in like 10 seconds. I sent it there to the email that you sent to me. Okay. Yeah, just hit that link that I just sent you. It should bring you right in. Ask you, do you want to join, et cetera, et cetera. See if we can get Lady Naomi in here, y'all. StreamYard is probably acting up. It's known to do that. Oh, there she is. I see you. I see you down there. There you are. Okay, without further ado. It's known to do that. Oh, there she is. I see you.
Hello.
Peace, Lady Naomi. Turn me off in the background. Turn me off in the background.
Turn it. What? Turn the volume down. You saying?
Yeah, just silence me in YouTube because we're getting an echo. Peace.
Oh, just silence.
Lady Naomi.
Okay.
Turn me off in the background.
Turn it. What? Turn the volume down. You saying?
Yeah, just silence me in YouTube. Mute me in YouTube. That's all. Can you still hear me? Can you still? You just muted yourself though. Unmute yourself and mute me in YouTube. That's all.
Oh,
mute
okay.
to YouTube. Mute
I
to
got
YouTube.
you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I am.
Yeah, just mute YouTube. Mute it.
I got you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Just mute your YouTube. Yeah, just mute YouTube. Well, turn YouTube off. Turn YouTube off.
Got it.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Here we go. Peace.
Sorry.
Peace, Lady Naomi. I'm glad you are here. When I got your email the other day, I went and I looked. I looked at your son's case, and I was very disheartened with what I read. Because this dude, the dude who ran him over, has a history of doing this kind of stuff. So, well, I won't even go into it. You go ahead and tell your story. Let everybody know who you are and, who Brother Deshon was. And just let us know, and we'll go from there.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you for having me on behalf of my son and myself. I greatly appreciate it. And I also greatly appreciate doing the research because there's a lot of wealth of information about what happened to my son, because I make sure I kept it out there so everybody could know, because where I live at, they meaning the prosecutor, the politician, mainly the governor, they all cover it up. And as I listened to you earlier, yes, there's a lot of lives are being killed in vain, and nothing's being done about it. However, with my son and how the story goes, as I heard you saying, and you was on point. My son, he was on his way going to work, because his car was in the shop at the time. And so my son was there. I'm sorry if I pause it because it's still very painful.
Oh, no, take your time. Take your time.
And it's
You got it.
hurtful. And I'm trying not to cry, so I'm trying to hold my tears back. I don't know if you saw the video of Exxon gas station, and you see all that, and the prosecutor, Essex County prosecutor, and Michael Tuza, the driver, the driver lawyer, you know, they had fabricated saying my son was running in the street, as you saw in the video. None of that had happened. Luckily, before it happened, I had a friend of mine told me to do my own investigation. He said, because I've been sitting on the bench, because he's a judge. He said, I've been sitting on the bench, and I'm going to tell you, all the truth is not going to come out, and they're not going to, they meaning the witness and everybody, not going to be upfront with the prosecutors and everything. But as you as the mother, they will tell you. So I did just that. So my son's best friend, mother, and I, we sat on our little crusade. I mean, it was heartful. It was painful. And we spoke to the people around there. And sure enough, they was very open. And as you see in the Exxon gas station video, I had the manager for Exxon gas station allowed me to record his statement. And he said, no, your son was not running. Your son was here ample enough time. He went to Exxon gas station. So I meant to 7-Eleven, because next, if anybody who listening, if they know how New Jersey and Bloomfield is located on Broad Bay, there's a 7-Eleven next door. So my son went there, and on the videotape, we spoke to the guy from 7-Eleven. He was in the newspaper smiling. And so I spoke to him, the manager of the worker there, and he said, well, get your son's credit card statement, because he used his credit card. And on that credit card, I'm going to tell you what time he left. So I did that. And according to New Jersey Transit /coach, and the reason why I say /coach, because New Jersey Transit coach is a subcontract from New Jersey Transit. So the drivers was operating in New Jersey Transit, but he was working for Coach. And my son, he left 7-Eleven in ample enough time, because the public it's hard for me, said BUS, because what I went through. They had saying my son was running across the street. So on 7-Eleven, once I got the surveillance camera from 7-Eleven, well, the lawyer got it. It shows the time that my son left. And the public transportation was supposed to come at 10:47. My son left 7-Eleven at 10:30. Why he's running after the public transportation doesn't make sense. It didn't add up. The prosecutor never called me. When it first initially happened, Bloomfield Police Department called me, and they said to me, oh, I have a package for you. Package? What is a package? That's how you describe my child, a package? So I'm like, a package. So I'm thinking, did I lose anything? I say, I have my license. What are you talking about? You have my sister? And he like, oh, it's a package I have. I'm like, what is a package? Elaborate. I don't know what you mean by a package. So I said, do you have my son there? Oh, you got to come here. So I came down there. It's a call that a family, a mother, a father would never want to get. Never want to get. So what they told to me, that my son was in the accident, a bus accident. And it's hard for me to say that word. And so this is what I'm thinking. My son was on the public transportation and it collided into somebody. So this is what I'm thinking, how an accident. Come and find out, because it was on the news. I don't know if you saw Channel 12 was talking about it. It was on news. It was 12. It was on file. So it was like in the newspaper. And all the local bloggers had it, no local online newspaper bloggers. And it said that the guy hit my son. Okay. My son was at the stop, according to the witness, because I tracked them all down, the witness, and I spoke to each individual witness after the fact. It took me like 6 years or 7 years to get the witness, because they was trying, they meaning even the attorneys that I hired. The attorneys I hired, there was no help with my son, for my son. None. So they was like more so on the driver's side, the company side, because again, it's a lot of political corruption in New Jersey, especially dealing with New Jersey Transit, because New Jersey Transit is a state-run agency. And what they do, they subcontract these other buses. And Coach USA, if you did research and Google research, you see Coach USA is no good. So why would you put a subcontractor who has a lot of problem, and you already have your own problem with your drivers in their lives? Then you're going to add another. So my son was at the stop, and according to the witness, she said that my son had flagged the driver to stop. The driver never stopped. And on the video on YouTube, you see the driver just sped, not stopping. So the attorney I had, I didn't know it was two public transportation going around the curb, because I didn't know, because I had the surveillance camera, but I couldn't get anybody to what's that? Oh, my thought pattern here, to converge it. So what I did, I said, okay, in 2019, something told me, get YouTube. See, can YouTube, because at the time, YouTube didn't have the capacity to do so. So I put it on YouTube, and lo and behold, YouTube converted the whole video. And as I'm looking at the video, I'm seeing two. The first public transportation was the slow one. And the attorney that I had took a video with his phone, went down to the gas station, because the manager did not give them the video, but he gave it to me. And the lawyer that I hired went down there and recorded the video, but he was recording the slow bus that went around the corner and said it was the driver. But as YouTube converted, and videos don't lie, it showed it was two. The first one was going slow, following the protocol, made a wide turn and was going slow. And that's the one they used. The second one was the driver who ended my son's life. And you see, he never stopped. He sped around the corner and, jumped the curb. My son, according to the witness, my son was there. And the driver had sped up. My son was still on the curb, because at the time it was the sidewalk was going through repair. And when you have like street repair, there should be like a police officer there. Because if you notice, when there's a lot of street repairs and sidewalk repairs, and they know it's detrimental to the pedestrian, they always have a police officer there. At this time, they did not at all. So which is what it was the county fault as well, because you have construction going here. And according to the information I read, it was like that for 6 or 7 months. Soon what happened to my son? They hurry up and straighten up the call of the evidence. So again, I'm sorry, I'm flipping back and forth. So the witness said my son was talking to another young man who was Hispanic. So when the driver passed through, he flagged him down. And so my son had went to the door where the public transportation at, the bus at. And he made it to the front door. The driver was speeding, was going slow. And then in BP is another gas station video showed that the driver had accelerated. And I was reading all these reports that the attorney that I had, because I fired that attorney, I went to like 4 different attorneys. And it shows, and I'm reading the court document that they submitted, saying the driver had accelerated. Because with the lawyer that I had, he did a 3D vision to show what happened. The driver was slowing down, and then when he saw my son at the front door, he accelerated, because my son made it to the front door before the driver had turned the corner. He banged. The driver never stopped, and the witness said she saw him right there. Next thing you know, you see the public transportation go up twice. He ran over my son 2 times. My son went under the public transportation, the bus, and he dragged my son 50 to 100 feet and stopped in a corner right there at the bridge on Bloom on Bay. And the prosecutor, I don't know if you saw the video with the because I put that up there too, with the prosecutor telling the driver what you did. He didn't do anything wrong by killing my son. So I'm listening to this corruption on this video at its best. Then you hear the transit lawyer saying to Whistle Remain, you have nothing to worry about. I know these people and they're going to take care of everything. Take care of everything. So you don't have to worry about it. Whistle Remain in the video, he gets up and demonstrate how he saw my son. And they said, shh, shh, shh. You know, don't talk. Remember, you didn't see anyone. This is on the YouTube video. And I tell people, if I didn't have this video, people would think I'm making this up. This is why I put the video on YouTube, to expose the corruption that was going on. Because if these other family members don't know about it, at least they have my son. If they doing this to my son's case, how many other cases that they are doing this to? And what they do, they deem it as an accident. And they deem it, and they blame the victim. And so people are like, well, how you know he deliberately do it? I say, well, how you know he didn't? Are you in his mind? You don't know what that driver thinking. Then I find the information online that a person who was on the public transportation prior to it happened, he gave his statement. He said he witnessed that my son was getting off the public transportation. He was making sure he had everything in his pocket. You know how people get up and look on the seat and make sure they have everything? The driver was rushing him off. And my son said, hold up, I'm trying to make sure I have everything. And so one of the witnesses said they intervened. And this statement is online. Witness and said, why are you rushing this young man? He's trying to make sure he have everything. And the driver said, mind your business. I'm just going with the witness say, which is online. And so my son, like, why you got to disrespect me like that? And so the driver, again, I can't, it's online. You can read verbatim what it said, because there's a complaint site for Coach USA. And if you just Google it, Deshon Johnson, you'll see the complaint when I'm referenced to. It's on New Jersey complaint site, and there's another complaint site that you can reference to if you want to. Anybody want to follow up and read exactly what I'm saying so you can see it verbatim. And so my son, like, why you got to be disrespectful? And so one thing as another, and the driver said, according to the witness, what he said, the driver said to my son, you know what, I can end your life and I will still have my job. When I read this, I was just like taken back. I was taken back. I mean, reading it, really? And so that's how come people like, oh, well, how you know? When I show like some of the people and they read it or they see it online, they say, oh my gosh, you're not making it up. I said, why should I make something like this up? So I'm like, so you saying it's an accident? If it's an accident, allegedly what they say, the driver would not have sped up. You would make sure you make a wide turn to avoid the curb, because you shouldn't be near a curb, because, you know, pedestrian could be standing at the curb. In New Jersey, I don't know, it's a curb radius, which is a federal law. When any vehicle, especially mainly big vehicles, they have to be away from the curb so they won't endanger pedestrians, cyclists. But that was not the case. The driver was up there, and lawyers from transit sat there and lied and said the driver made a wide turn and he did not jump the curb. But on BP, it shows that it went up twice. So if my son got hit by the back wheel, so the front wheel went up, so that shows you he went up on the curb if he didn't run over my son twice. They say he didn't run on the curb, but the video don't lie. You see the front wheel and the back wheel, and it matches one of the character witness statement. She said she felt it twice. She said she saw my son at the door, and next thing you know, he was gone. She was looking at the window. She said she was reading a book at one point. Then when she looked up, she saw my son, and she saw him made it to the door. The lie that the prosecutor told me that my son was using both palm and hand banging Impossible, because he was at 7-Eleven. He bought vitamin water and a sandwich. So with 7-Eleven, they don't have the wrist bag to put on it. They have the one that you clutch your hand to hold it. So how can he use 2 open palm hands if he has something in his hand? Makes no sense. And so the chief of prosecutors start stuttering. He's like, how you know? And I was being facetious. I said, we can read now, because he was Caucasian. I was Arab. I said, we can read now. I said, it's in the newspaper. Bloomfield mayor made the statement. The content was on the scene. So how the heck you going to say my son used both open palm hand? You're lying. And I told him flat up, you're lying. And so the chief of prosecutor said, told another who was supposed to be the investigator person to talk and said, he didn't jump the curb. I said, yes, he did. I said, it's called law of gravity. If he was driving slow, my son would have been injured, not dead.
So why do you think that the cover up? I mean, what do you think is behind the cover up? Like, why are they trying to protect? Are they protecting this bus company? Because they're subcontracted through the state and the city, I'm assuming. So I guess in a sense, by covering this bus company, they're also covering their own asses as well, right?
Pretty much.
Is that okay? So you got city, local government trying to cover their own ass, and they're trying to make it seem like it was Deshon's fault that he got hit. Is that what's going on here?
Exactly.
But the video says otherwise, right?
Exactly.
The video says otherwise.
The video don't lie. That's why I put it up on YouTube. And I saw, and not only that, I write articles, and New Jersey Transit, or Coach USA Transit, they troll the internet, and they see my articles that I write to expose them, because when I write it, I put the evidence and they get it taken down. And how I know, because I wrote an article, and one of the editor on one of the site, Community News, that I wrote an article on about what happened, he emailed me and he said, I got and I put that conversation online. He said that I got a visitor from New Jersey Transit lawyer. And the New Jersey Transit lawyer had said to take the article down. He said, but I refuse. I mean, and people like, did you get a lawsuit? Lawsuit is not justice. And I keep hearing people say that's monetary. To me, a lawsuit is like a band-aid to cover up, and they have you sign a gag order to hush you. Because why? They don't want the world to know the corruption. So if they gag you and you're not speaking about it, who will know? Everybody like, it was an accident. So the attorney who I had was telling me, okay. Like I said, I went through four attorneys. And see, what the thing is, when there's a lawsuit, they trying to sit here and blame the victim so they will pay out less. So they go like, it's 50% of the victim's fault, not our fault. But as supposed to be trained professional, and I have the driving manual, the driver is more at fault because they've trained professionals. They know the law. They know the protocol when you're driving a big bus like that. And so that's why they do with the 50-50. Okay, so we're going to pay you $100,000, $200,000 because it was the victim's fault. And at the time, I didn't have all the evidence that I have now in my possession as we speak. But I got it kept in a secret place. And so what I did, I've been putting the evidence slowly but surely up online. I said, because people needs to know. So they need to investigate their loved one, because the prosecutor is not going to tell what happened. So I don't know if you read about my son's friend who lived across the street named Krista Noble. Her life was taken first. And not knowing 5 months later, we lived in the same place. Not knowing 5 months later, my son's life is taken. And they cover up hers, and they blame her because they said her child ran up in the street, which is all fabrication. So it's pretty much trying to protect them, the company. And I wrote to the U.S. Attorney Senator to trying to get a pass a law to hold the drivers accountable, because there's too many lives are taken in vain, and there's a lot of hush going on, a lot of political favors, a lot of nepotism, favoritism. All of that is going on to keep everybody quiet. And everybody knows everyone because they went to law school with someone or whatever. So it's like a whole pool of corruption going on in New Jersey. And it's sad. And no one's, again, I must reiterate, doing anything. I wrote to politicians trying to get a law changed. And Governor, what's his name, Menendez, I wrote to him. I met with his office, like, oh, we're going to go to your local politician to help. Nia Gill didn't do anything. She blew me away. So later on, why do a year later, I see a law that Menendez had passed protecting the drivers. If any pedestrian or passenger threatened the drivers, they will go to jail. But yet these drivers end their lives, but nothing happened to them. They're not going to jail.
So they haven't changed any of these protocols over the past 9-8 years, because I know it. Your son was killed back in 2012, right? That was 2012. Yes. So it's been 9 years, and they haven't changed the manual. They haven't changed the bus stops. I'm assuming they haven't changed the bus driver's protocol. They haven't changed anything.
They had redacted. When I got all the information, and what made me get all my son's final case, because the fourth lawyer that I went to, I'm like, this is like corruption after corruption. So I went to Al Sharpton organization to trying to get them involved. I mean, they did do a little something, but not a lot of something. But anyway, the paralegal and the lawyer, because they have this legal night out at the Justice, what's they call that, Justice House or something in New York. And they told me what to do. And I showed some of the evidence to the lawyer. And they like, well, we are New York lawyers, it's sad. So what you need to do on all these attorneys who is part of it, you write a grievance against them. And I said, well, okay, I'll do just that. And there's, again, it's still going on. Nothing has changed. I do talk show. The Not Ill, I don't know if you saw that, the Not Ill talk show. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Go ahead. Keep talking. I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
All right, got it.
Yeah. And so I have a talk show called the Not Illa Talk Show. And what I did, I had one of the guests come there for New Jersey Transit. He was the first chief of compliance of safety of New Jersey Transit, which is on YouTube. The interview that I did with him was on YouTube. And when I say he had opened up all the corruption about transit and what's going on and stuff he was saying, took me back, because transit, if a person's life is taken by Coach USA driver, transit would say, oh, that's not our fault. That's Coach. Coach like, oh, that's transit. Or the coach are like, oh, okay, we take the responsibility, because Coach USA, they was owned by a Scottish family. And now a firm in New Jersey had took them over, but they was owned by a Scottish family when it happened to my child, my only child. So according to the former chief of appliance, Todd Beretta, he says that Coach New Jersey Transit is still responsible for Coach USA. I said, oh, really? He said, yes, they are. But they're going to tell you they're not, but they are. And this was his position. And he was just telling everything about the corruption and what they did. They wound up firing him when Chris Christie was the governor, which they call him a whistleblower because he told everything. And he was there. He like, I was hired for safety to correction action. He said, but I learned they really didn't want me to correct anything. They just want to look like and appear like everything was good, but it wasn't. So he said, I was telling the truth because it was too much going on. And they wound up firing him. So now the new governor, what he did, he sort of picked up the torch and still going after the guy. This is all online as well. So it's a serious epidemic of these lives being taken by New Jersey Transit. And these drivers is getting away. When I say with murder, they are literally getting away with a murder.
Well, let's talk about the guy who was driving. His name is Wilson Romaine,
Yes.
I believe.
Yes.
Now, from what I understand, from what I read, all right, they sent him back to work, all right, and 2 months after this, he was in another accident, all right? Now, I read that the prosecutor let him walk free, never charged him for Deshon's death. They said you didn't know too much about the bus driver. You had to go through, investigate, and find out. I'm assuming that the bus company was kind of hiding him, not letting you have any information and all this kind of nonsense. But once you found out who he was, come to find out, I mean, this guy's been in quite a few wrecks and accidents, correct?
Yeah, you read right.
So
I also
go ahead.
I also put the deposition up there.
Mm-hmm.
And in the deposition, it tells more. And at the time, my son's case, New Jersey Transit was trying to get my son's case heard in another county because they said, because I got all the information online, and people know. I mean, come on, this is the internet. You can go to Bingo, Maine. People get on the internet and they're going to read it. So whether you've been in Essex County or Bergen County, it's still people going to know.
Yeah.
So they was trying to get it heard in another county, but the judge had declined. She said it happened in the Essex County. It stays in Essex County. And this is what New Jersey Transit, what they do. They sit here and cover up. I was on the news. I remember when I went to grand jury, they was going to close my son's case. But once I start going to the news and talking out, all of a sudden, miraculously, they said, we're going to take it to grand jury. And I have information on that. The attorney that I had, who, when it first happened, I had this attorney, Joe Saludo, come to find out he was a corrupt attorney. He got disbarred because he would represent a lot of celebrities, take their money and not do anything with it. So I don't know if you Google, my son was a hip hop artist.
Yes.
Under Sean Cox Mason. Yes. So he was a well-known underground hip hop artist. And so Gerald Saludi, those are the type of clients he liked to take, but he take their money. And so that's what he was doing with me. I give him the evidence. I was doing my own research. And when I did my own research, I would give him the evidence. He would never, because I spoke to the chief prosecutor who didn't know anything about my case, my son's case. So I gave it to him and he like, I'm going to give it to it. What happened, what I did, when I felt they start lying to me, I recorded them. Because by law in New Jersey, you can do that as long as you're a part of the conversation. Mm-hmm. And I did that because they was kept lying and lying. I said, no, I'm going to record them. And I did that. And so I some of the recording I put online so people can hear this corruption. But by me talking out and putting online, it's like there's still no justice for all these lives, mainly my son. This driver is scot-free. He can go home to his child. And here
Does he still work? Does he still work for the company? Is he still driving city buses today?
Yes, as we
still
speak.
Driving.
Because I did, I had another attorney hired for criminal. He said, investigating. He said, I'm going to hire a private investigator to find out. He said, because I want to know if he's still driving. So the private investigator did that, and yes, as we speak, he's still driving. And I put the video of the deposition on YouTube. You know, I only put one part because it's 3-part. And I was reading people comments. And one of the person who comment like, oh yeah, that's my neighbor. I'm looking at this conversation amongst everybody. And so one of his former work, like, oh, I'm seeing him on YouTube, and wow. And one of the drivers, somebody said, oh, is he still working? And one of the person who his neighbor, he like, yes, I just saw him went to work.
Wow. So did they ever, when this happened, the day this happened, was he tested for drugs? Was he tested for alcohol? Was he tested for anything? Was he tested? Did they see if he was drunk or high or whatever? Did they test him?
When they first did it, they said that they did. Again, I didn't have the evidence, so they said that they did. And the attorney, of course, that I hired, they like, oh yeah, he did. But as I got the case file, like I said, with Al Strop, the organization, they told me to get my son's case file. So I recently got my son's case file, whole case file, 2019, because the attorney said he gave me everything, which was a lie. So when I did on the not the Oprah Act, it's another law that tells you when a lawyer is no longer representing you, they have to give up the whole case file by law. Mm-hmm. And I find that law and that statute, and I sent it to the attorney. And so all of a sudden, they didn't give it to me right away. I sent it to them in October. They said, they're going to have it ready. Here comes December. So I emailed them again. I said, if you don't send it to me, I will go to court. I will press charges. And all of a sudden, they got everything together. And when I got it and I read it, what they did, they redacted the driver's vision. They redacted his health records. They redacted his hearing. And I'm reading in this correspondence amongst the lawyer that I hired and transit lawyer. And the lawyer I hired, like, well, I have a right to see those redaction. You need to reveal those redaction. And they will never do, because New Jersey Transit and Coaches Aid, they have this relationship with the prosecutor's office. Because at the time, the head prosecutor used to work for New Jersey Transit. He was working for New Jersey Transit as a reconstructioner, remind you, in this incident. Then they hired him at the Essex County Prosecutor Office when he became the head person who the other police officer and detective had to report to sign off on.
Wow.
And come and find out. Go ahead.
So what, well, I'm assuming you sued them civilly, right? Did you sue them or you just...
Well, the attorney, yes, they sued him civilly. Yes, they did. However, what they did, once again, they fabricated, and they said they gave me my son not an astronomical amount, but they were saying because they was trying to get over the 50-50 rule, that it was partially my son's fault. So I'm like, oh, really? So after I got the evidence, it was not true.
So they never, well, they took the case to the grand jury, right? They did take it to the grand jury, correct?
No, they did not. The grand jury, when we did my son's best friend, they had a protest. And when they saw the protest on the news, on Fire News at the time, all of a sudden they like, oh, okay, we're going to take it to the grand jury. You know, the lawyer that I had didn't take the grand jury. The grand jury said, oh, the prosecutor said, oh, we're going to take the grand jury because they saw it on the news because the protests, all these articles, so it's exposing them. And according to a friend of mine who's a police officer, he said, that's their job. Don't act like they did you a favor because that's the protocol. but they was not going to do it. They was going to close it and just say, okay, deem it as an accident. Now, the other lawyer that I had hired now, he looked at the whole case what all the previous lawyer had. And he said what they did, meaning the prosecutor, what they did, they gave the driver a pass. And they was not looking for criminal, which it should have been criminal as well. But they dismissed that because the attorney, Tuzon, know the prosecutor. And he talked about the prosecutor name, the head prosecutor who was used to work for New Jersey Transit, and say they're going to take care of everything. So that's why it didn't do the criminal. And as the civil, it went to civil.
So the driver hasn't been charged with anything. Nothing.
Not
no
even vehicle so much homicide, no assault,
nothing.
no bail, no nothing. Zero. Nothing. He's still riding it as we speak.
And he's still driving.
I'm driving, yes, as we speak.
Did any representatives from Coach or they're subcontracted through the city? Anybody from Coach or City Transit ever reach out to you to say anything?
When it first happened, and the reason why they reached out to me because they once again saw the article. When it first happened, and they saw the article about exposing them, from the beginning, and where my son's wake was at, all of a sudden they reached out because they saw the article. And they called me on my cell phone, and I said, well, how did you get my number? He said, oh, it was a newspaper. My cell number was not in the newspaper. I'm like, why are you lying? The article about what happened to my son was in the newspaper. And the area that I lived in was in it, but not the address. And my cell number was not in there. And they said, oh, it's important for me to meet with you. I said, what for? You don't have nothing to meet with me. No, oh, my condolences. Oh, it's important. Somebody said the reason why they did that because they wanted to give you hush money so you wouldn't go to the news again and trying to sue. That's why he called you like that. I said, no, you're not me. He said, just tell me where you at. Like desperate. Tell me where you at. And I'll come and meet you. I said, no, you're not coming to meet me.
So between then and now, what has happened? I know y'all do annual tributes to Brother Deshon every year. I see that, but has there been any changes? Has there been any changes to where they make people stand at the bus stop? Are there any safety lines on the pavement? Are there anything? So totally nothing has changed. It's the same.
Nothing had changed. It's like nothing never happened. And I know one attorney told me, oh, well, you need to move on. I'm like, move on? Are you really kidding me? So brush it on the rug, move on so everybody can go on with their life. My life, I'm never going to go on with my life. My only child is gone, and this driver has an opportunity to go to his family while the prosecutor covering it up.
Yeah.
Move on. There's no peace or justice in murder. And I keep telling people, if my son was sick, you prepare yourself. Mm-hmm. But when somebody outright deliberately murdered your child, and then you have these big corporation and company protected them for the sake of their behinds, because all these lives are taken, and the lawsuit is like sky high.
Yeah.
And this is why they keep raising up fares, because all these people who ride in the public transportation is paying for these lawsuits.
Yeah.
These lawsuits.
I mean, I saw that, man. I saw because I just put in a quick Google search, bus accidents in New Jersey, and it just it just ran on and on and on.
Wow.
This is a thing. This is a thing in Jersey. And, you have our condolences here from T.P.O.T for Brother Deshon. But I want to ask you, what would you like to happen? What would you like to see take place?
I like to see take place that the driver goes to jail, and people like, oh, he goes to jail is not going to bring your child back. I said, that's an asinine statement. No, it's not going to bring my child back. No money is going to bring my child back. But actually, when the driver in jail, he has a right to sit there and think what he have done and be taken away from his child. My child is going off this earth permanently. Mm-hmm. So I want, what I did, I trying to get a law passed to hold these drivers accountable. If they can do that to protect the bus driver, why can't you do it with the victim, with the bus driver killing all these victims?
Yeah.
If you can do that for a pedestrian, a passenger assault of a driver, hit a driver, and they go to jail, but you can't do it with these drivers using the vehicle as a weapon, because that's what it is. Just like a gun, the bus doesn't end a person's life. It's the person behind it who's driving recklessly. That's what ending people's lives. And I recall once when I was on a bus. Oh, I hate that word. One of the driver, it was a pedestrian walking across the street, and she blows the horn. She said, "Oh, he better hurry up and get out the street before I run him over." And I looked at the bus driver. I said, "That's somebody's loved one. Why would you say something like that? Why would you say something like that?" She said, "Well, I don't care. If something happened, I'll still have my job." So my thing is, she said that, Wilson Romaine said that, that's a little thing that they all say because they know that the company will back them. The union, you got the bus union, you have the company, and not only that, you have the governor. I wrote to the governor. I met the governor. I spoke to the governor. And I asked him, I want to talk to you. I said about my son who was killed by New Jersey Transit. By New Jersey Transit, but operating by Coach USA. He blew me away. He like, oh, I New Jersey Transit, or what you call was here, but I don't have anything to do with New Jersey Transit. And which he does.
Yeah, he's the governor, so he oversees all of that, doesn't he?
He appoints like the chief commissioner of Department of Transportation. And I'm like, because I was telling somebody, so there's somebody who's in the politician. He said, no, the governor does have a lot to do with it. He appoints people, so he can. And as I started doing research, he had passed a law called the timing law. Caucasian young man, Anglo-Saxon, whatever, life was taken by the New Jersey Transit train, and he passed a law for that. And people like, well, you know what, with the train, you can't fight that because they say, oh, people should not be on the tracks. So you could pass a law for that, but not for these lives taken from the bus. They have control. We all, as motorists, have control of our driving. We have control to stop, speed up, whatever. So if you drive and you see something in the road, you're going to stop or try to move in and avoid not the end of life, not accelerate and aim it. When I read the papers from the courts, the lawyer said he sped up and he aimed it towards my son, not away, towards it. And I put that online as well. He said my son was running, and I'm like, how can my son run after a bus or chase after a bus? Is he already there? You can't run it. So they play with these words. Now, if you're there, you could rush up to it. And when I hear running, I hear like, okay, fast speed. So when you talk about run, jogging is a part of running, but it's slow motion. So I say, so he cannot run if he was already there. And the witness already said, I put that also on YouTube, when a prosecutor had asked one of the witnesses who was in the car behind the vehicle, public transportation, and the prosecutor asked, oh, where was this young man positioned at? Where was he standing at? She said, oh, he was already at the corner. But yet they say he was sitting down. He got up and chased. She said he was already there at the corner. And they're like, oh, he didn't come out anywhere. She said, what you mean he didn't come out where? He was there. She said, I saw him right there. And all of a sudden he was gone. She said he was there. So
So he was at the bus stop already, right? He wasn't chasing
standing.
after the bus. He was already at the bus stop. So why would
Exactly.
he be chasing the bus if he's already stationary at the bus stop?
Exactly. And then what the private investigator said, they say he was running and banging. So the private investigator, like, your son can't do both. He got to do either or. If he has something in his hand, he can't run and bang with both hands. He said that's impossible. Because he had the bag of sandwich and the water in his hand. It's impossible. So
And
like I
not and not only that, he was hit, and from what I read, he was drugged like 100 feet, right? He wasn't just hit; he was hit and drugged. So there is that. Of course, they're going to claim that they didn't know he was hit and all this kind of nonsense. So you know, those facts are facts that they will actually try to cover up, because if you hit him and you kept going, that's a mitigating circumstance, because you had hit the man and you just kept on driving. So I guess they're denying that too, right?
Well, what they say, they not deny. First they were saying, the driver didn't see him, but the witness said that everybody on the bus told him to stop when they saw my son at this first, when he was alive, flagging it down. They said, stop that, this young man trying to get on. And then he still didn't. So when my son made it at the front door, the main witness said, that young man at the door, you're not going to stop. He still didn't. She said, then after that, she saw my son gone. And then after that, everybody started screaming and tell him to stop. And he dragged my son. So that does not sound like an accident.
Yeah.
I can see if they told him 3 times to stop, and he did not, and he continued on. Now, if you just had hit my child, because if you read some of the cases, most of these cases that I have read, and I've been doing a lot of research, the pedestrian got hit 1 time. Not 2 times, then drag. 1 time. To me, when you run him over twice and drag him, that's a deliberate incident. That's deliberately.
Yes.
It's deliberate.
Sounds
and
like
then
it.
my son get caught under the wheel and then dragged him until everybody screamed and told him to stop. When I told the prosecutor, I said, well, why did the driver stop? I said, did people on the bus told him to stop? He said, no, lying. I put that information online too, where my son's friend mother did the dissertation while I was there. She was writing down everything he was saying. I said, so what made him stop? If they didn't tell him stop, he automatically stopped. I said, because according to you, I'm telling the chief of prosecutor, Thomas and Finley, I said, well, according to you, the driver didn't see him, but he stopped. And you just told me that the people on the public transportation didn't tell him stop. What made him stop? So I caught them in so much lies, the prosecutor. Lies after lie. And this is why I'm like livid, and I put this online. I said, people need to see this. This is corruption at its best. And to this day, the governor still not doing anything. To this day, I have people reach out to me and tell me their story and telling me that the governor is not saying anything, or transit never got back to him. Nothing. No condolences, nothing. No flowers, nothing.
And they probably won't. So going forward, I'm assuming you're still pushing legislators,
Yes.
lawmakers.
Yes.
And what you want is a law that says what? You want a law that says what about this?
I want a law to say, like they wrote for the drivers, if the drivers do this in life, they need to go to jail. They don't need to get rewarded with a paycheck and go to work. They need to go to jail. They need to actually pay for their own lawyers, because I believe if they pay for their own lawyers, all of this would stop, because they know all the stuff coming out their pocket, not the company pockets, not the agency pockets. So anything that come out anybody's pocket and you work hard for it, you're going to be as cautious as possible. when you know you got to pay these attorney fees, when you know you got to pay these bail fees, you know you got to pay for the victim family funeral fees. If they had something so not like that in place, these drivers will stop. These buses be speeding. They sit there, even when I'm driving, they speed and they cut you off. They bogart themselves.
So why do you think, let me ask you, why do you think it's so dangerous out there in New Jersey? Because I read quite a few stories and quite a few people get killed every single year. Why do you think it's so dangerous? Like what? Why is it so dangerous to try to catch a bus in New Jersey? What's going on in Jersey?
If I had to answer, I can tell you. I don't know why it's so dangerous. Probably again, they protecting these drivers, and when you give these drivers constantly get a snap on their wrist, they can continue like it's okay. I'm going to continue on doing it because hey, they're not. I'm not going to jail. The company is just protecting me, and I guess with the company, they need drivers so bad. I don't know if it's another video online that Newark mayor was saying that he saw in the newspaper looking for drivers, New Jersey Transit, Coach USA looking for drivers, and they don't have to have any experience. Really? Nor CDL. Really? But on there, they say that they do, but they really don't. They really don't. One of the guy, like I said, the chief compliance, he had, when I interviewed him, he said with the trains, one of the new engineer had took the test and she felt it. She felt it, but they still gave her the job.
Wow.
And yeah, they should pass a law about the rules and violation employees in public safety. And I was saying also with the law, I think some of these drivers need to take a psychological test if they're not. Because you don't know what mindset they have. You don't know. But you're giving these drivers buy a big vehicle and not taking a psychological test. When you're a police officer, and though these police officers are killing people, they take psychological tests. These drivers, they don't. You don't know when people like, oh, how you know he deliberately killed? You don't know what's on their mind, on the driver's mind. You don't know if they just had an argument with somebody like, I'm going to fix him because I know I'm going to be protected because they're going to say it's an accident because they're going to protect me. You don't know. Like I didn't know until I read what I'm reading. Because I said before I got all this information, I'm like, well, what made him want it in my son's life? You know? And as I'm reading it, you having a disagreement over something stupidity. Not only that, he also did it. I read online and in the deposition, which is online, that the driver had another scenario. A man was getting off the public transportation, had a disagreement. As the man was getting on, he pulled off and the man fell. This is in the deposition. I can't make this up.
Same bus driver. So your son, brother Deshon, I guess he had some words with this bus driver before. Him and the bus driver had some words.
According to the witness.
Okay.
So
it might have been something there. It might have been a spiteful move. Because he had words with this same bus driver before, he might have said, you know what, I ain't picking him up, and just made the sharp turn and hit him, which is a possibility. I'm not saying that that's what happened, but if they have had some words, in the past more than once, did him and the bus driver have words more than once?
According to the
state,
not that I know, I just go by according to the witness statement. It just only was one time. Because at the time, because my son was driving, the car just was in the shop.
Okay.
So he had a vehicle.
So the bus driver wasn't that familiar with him. He wasn't that familiar with him.
Well, he was familiar to the point because the car, my son had a car in May, and his car, he junked it. So we had an extra one, a truck which he was driving. Then it was in the shop. So from that period on time, from May when his car gave out, he was driving the truck in June, and then the truck was in the shop. From that period of time, for that small period of time, he was taking that route. So from June that it was in shop, and my other car was in the shop as well. So from that 2 weeks, my son was taking a public transportation. So he was familiar, probably like that short period of time, like that 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. Okay. So he didn't
Yeah.
really know him. Didn't really know him like that.
But in the
Go ahead.
deposition, in the deposition, he made mention, oh yeah, he saw my son, because the lawyer asked, was trying to figure out, like you said, do you know him? If you know him, knowing when people know him, that's what you would do. You would stop, the people. He like, oh, the young man. Then he turned around. If you read the deposition, oh, well, the person didn't want to pay for their fare, or he didn't have money. How you know he didn't have money? You never stop.
He said that about your son?
Yes.
Okay.
And first he said it was a woman. Like I said, I can send you a link to the deposition. If you read the link, it will be like taken back. You'll see he lied under oath. The driver lied under oath. When you read the deposition, like I said, if you have a link, I send you the deposition link, and you would read it, and you would take. You're like, what? All this lies. First, you're like, oh, because it was a woman. Oh, because of the man. But again, I don't know if you saw the other video on where I put it together when my son was coming out of 7-Eleven, and he used his credit card, his debit card, and you see the guy, the cashier, had gave my son money.
Mm-hmm.
Why he getting the money? My son bought something, gave him money. He getting the money to get on the public transportation. So it was like constant lies after lies. So like I said, go ahead.
So he's saying that your son didn't have money. I don't know how the hell he would know that just by seeing him standing at the bus stop. So is that why he said he just rode on by? Is that what he's saying? Oh, I knew he didn't have no money, so I kept going. Is that the line?
According to the deposition,
okay,
that he lied under oath and said. And you see the attorney said, well, how you know? You never picked him up.
Yeah. And your son had been riding a bus. He had been riding a bus for 2 weeks, right?
Exactly.
But that particular day, he assumed he didn't have any money.
I guess so.
Day.
And that's what attorney like, that doesn't make sense. So in other words, you caught him in a lie. And lies after lies after lies.
So is that bus driver, is he still driving in the same area, or did they just kind of funnel him off to somewhere else?
What they did, they removed him because it was the 709. They removed him off the 709. And what they did, they put him on another route. Some Hackensack route, 708 route, something. So I don't know if he had 708, they probably moved him again.
Okay.
But I know that he is still, as we speak today, operating New Jersey Transit and probably putting cause of other lives. Like you said, you saw the record. You saw his history.
I saw it. He doesn't need to be driving.
Nope.
So what about you? Do you still take public transportation? Are you uneasy about public transportation now? Since everything that happened to brother Deshon, I mean, are you, do you not like buses anymore? Do you stay away from them?
I stay away from them. I don't like it. And every time I see the will, because when the lawyer that I had, he was going to mediation, and the Afro-American retired judge that Coach USA hired. And I guess he hired an Afro-American judge, because I'm Afro-American, that I'm going to feel comfortable. So the attorney I have, like, well, we're going to go to mediation, and I'm going to take the image of your son, and I'm going to tell you when to leave. And he did not do that. He just pulled the image out. And I saw all the remains and everything of my son.
Wow.
So every time, answer to your question, every time I'm out there, I get a headache, I cry, I scream. And I don't drive that much because of that. And the judge, when he was lying to me, I said, you're lying because I read everything. And the judge got really nasty to me. And I got up and started crying. He said, where you going? Sit down. Just like that. He said, oh, the front wheel didn't kill your son, the back wheel, because all his brain matter was in there. And I suffer with these images. So no, I stay away from it. I'm like, how dare you? He like, oh, and you want to go to trial and you can even take the image. I say, that's not, when you're in trial, they're going to show the pictures, but they're going to give you a choice to leave the courtroom.
Yeah.
They're not going to just pull it out right then and there. You know, and he's a retired judge, Judge Lawson in Middlesex County. And that's what he did. He tortured me, treated me as if I was the victim who ended my son's life. And the other attorney like, oh, well, you know what they're going to say? Wilson remain. He has a family. My son has a family too, with me. So what that have to do with anything?
True.
You
very,
know,
very true.
I had this one woman, she reached out to me and she told me her sister's story. Downtown Newark, the driver, she had the right of way. The driver ran over her leg, amputated her sister had to get her leg amputated. Sister had to get her legs amputated, and she said she was in coma a few times. And that driver had a bad record and never went to jail. And I screenshot that and I put that online, that information online. And then that was on Facebook. Then on my son, Justice for Deshon Instagram, another person had comment. They saw it. They said, oh, my family, one of my loved ones' life was taken by New Jersey Transit train. They like, thank you for sharing your story. So they shared their story, what happened to their loved one. And they said, to this day, we never got any call for prosecutor or anything. We don't know what's going on. They call them, the prosecutor office where they live at, give them a runaround. So
tell us a little bit about Brother Deshon. Like, who was he? What kind of brother was he? Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, Deshon, he was a loving young man, not because he says, because it's my son. Even on the deposition, even his professor from college said the same thing, what type of student my son was. My son, he was in the honor society. And you don't have too many African-American young men in the honor society. So in 9th grade, he was taking honor class and high honor classes. So he was a well-rounded, intelligent young man. And he was going to college, but he was going to go away to college to Temple. But he didn't do that because I was in a car accident. And Wednesday, July the 18th, 2007, Bloomfield police officer was chasing a stolen car and hit me head on. And then 5 years later, same town, same day, my son's life get taken. Wednesday, July the 18th. So my son would help me out when I was in the accident. And, you know, I still have a disability. You can't really tell my whole right side. I had the tremors, what they call it. And my son would help me out. He would take care of me. Even when he was going to college, he was working, he was going to college. He started his own online business, not Illa. He was, like I said, he was going performing. He was a well-known underground hip hop artist. So he was performing in like the tri-state area. Educated young man, loving young man. He was my life. And he would tell people, you know, my mom, she's my friend. Not just my mom, she's my friend. And when I was getting ready to lose my life, he was crying. He like, I don't know what I would do if anything happened to my mom. That's all I have. So not seeing 5 years later, his life's taken. You know, so he was a young man who had goals and dreams, and I make sure of that. You know, being a former teacher, I instilled to him that education is important. People can take anything else, but they never can take your education. And that's where he went to college, and he was like 2 semesters away from graduating from college before it happened to him.
Wow.
You know, he was going to go to Temple, but he didn't go because of my car accident. He said, Mom, I'm not going to go because if I go away to college, I'm not going to focus. I'm going to think about you. So he said, well, I'm going to go to college here in New Jersey. And sometimes I'm like, I wish he did. Probably he'd still be here. So he was accepted to Montclair State University for 2009 and King University for 2008 fall. And so he went to King University. And he also went to Essex County College. Yeah. And when he
So
was
he
young, go ahead.
so he's a smart young man. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, when he was younger, he was always into music. I remember I bought him back in the day the cassette tape, and I gave him his first little tape for his cassette tape. And, you know, I remember when he was like 2 years old. I don't know if you saw a video of him when I bought him a guitar and he was singing when he was 2. And right then and there, I knew he was going to be destined to be a artist, music artist. He also was a visual artist. He used to draw. And before what happened to him, he was start his t-shirt line. And which I did, I just picked it up, his Naila collection.
Mm.
And what I
So
do,
so you're running it now? You're running the business now?
I'm trying to run it the best that I can. Yes.
Okay.
So what I do, I would go to like New York Fashion Week because I go there because that's where a lot of publicity at to tell the story, to raise awareness. So that's where I would go and showcase and tell my son's story. And not only that, I designed of all the lives was taken, I put it on clothing because I know my son was saying to me, he like, Mom, let's go in business together. He said we can go in business together, and he's not physically here. And I know spiritually he's here. I don't believe as spiritual beings that we die. I just believe that we transition to another realm, another plane of the spiritual realm. And my son and I was very close. That was my world. That's all I had, and he was all vice versa. And even his professor, when I read some of the comments, because I started at change.org, and I saw some of his professors had made a comment on it. And some of his he was working at Home Depot where it happened, and some of the employees, like, they were shocked to see what happened. They said he was such a respectful young man, a remarkable young man. They said they never had a problem with him. He's well mannered, respectful. You know, that's what they said in the article. The customers, sorry, the customer said. And even when I was reading what his professor had wrote on change.org, and also another professor had wrote on Facebook, and one of his high school teacher, and they said they was just taken back, like he didn't deserve that. He was such a nice young man, very intelligent young man. And they said a good young man is gone for no reason, something that could have been prevented. You know, so he was like really loving young man, loved his family. He was raised up with his cousins. You know, he was my only child, but I raised him up with his cousin because I had temporary custody of my 2 nephews. He was a good role model, and I see on his Facebook how other people say how he inspired them, taught them never give up, because I always used to tell him that. You know, I said nothing in the world is never hard, so don't ever use that word hard. I say it could be challenging, but not hard, because challenging stuff you can actually work on and overcome it, whatever you're trying to do. And he would share that with some of his people, his associates and his acquaintances and friends. The same thing. And how I know, because when I read his Facebook, I see what they write about how he taught them, to work hard with your dream, whatever you want, you work hard, it will manifest. And I'm just reading this and I'm just crying. And I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to have a grandchild because my son never had kids. Because he like, right now, Ma, I say, you're not going to have a child. And he like, no, because right now I want to stay focused on my career. Once I get everything established, then I will think about having a child. But right now, that's not important to me. I want to finish college and my music career. So I see a lot of people will come to him, as I read on Facebook, on his Facebook page. People come to him and I see their cry. I still have his cell phone on and I hear people still to this day leaving messages saying they called, just want to hear his voice, and crying and say, why this happened to you? And like I said, never I would dreamed when I saw his friend Nova get killed, not dreaming that 5 years later he will. So, and I just read the comment when it first happened to her. He like, wow, life is tough. He said, I hope, if it happened to me, at least I'll live a life. But it's crazy. Nothing happened to these drivers. The driver is doing this all the time. He was a very compassionate person, and he would be an advocate for things that is injustice and speak up on it. He was quiet to a certain extent, but when he see injustice, he's not quiet. So he's trying. That's the type of person he was. Sit there and listen to people. I hear people who shared their story with me about my son, and they were saying, like one young lady, she said she had problems. She never raised up with her mother. And my son, like, well, I cannot give you advice about raising up a mother. He said, because I don't know how it is, a mother not loving you. He said, because my mom do. This is she was sharing with me. She said, my mom loved me and she support me everything I do. And the female said, I never know that a man can love his mother like your son loved you. She said, I thought it was all on TV, that what I saw. And she said, your son, I was going through problems and he sat there and I told him to get away, but he wouldn't go away. He sat there until she opened and started talking. And she said he really consoled her. He really consoled her and gave her wisdom. And even when I was going to church at the time, and some people would say, oh, wow, when you look at your son, when you talk to him, you think you're talking to an adult because he was so mature for his age. But you look at him and know, okay, this is a child, but the intellect and the maturity that he had at his age was unbelievable. I taught my son learn how to read, actually, when he was in preschool, and he did math because I'm a former teacher. I went to school, so I believe education was important, and he excelled. And when he was in kindergarten, he was like really on like first and second grade level work.
Wow.
And he was just so gifted, talented, creative, compassionate person, love to help people, because the person just took his life.
Well, we want you to know that, whatever we can do, we will do. We're based in North Carolina, but I have people in New Jersey. I'm up in that area probably every 3 to 4 months. I may have to take a trip down through there to see what's going on, because like I said, I have people in New Jersey. I have people in Newark, I have people in Hightstown, I have people in where else? Camden, I have people in Jersey City. I got people in pretty few areas in Jersey. I have family there, so I may have to go and see. You said this happened in Bloomfield, right? This was Bloomfield, right?
Yes, when I would go to Bloomfield every year towards his anniversary, I don't like to say death. I don't need any words to associate that my son is not gone, is not here. I'm living it. So I say, paying homage, I honor him. And every time I do that, they meaning Bloomfield Township keep removing his memorial. I don't know. I reported to the news. That was on the news. That's online too. They keep removing his memorial. So I had did investigation because when I was driving, I saw like blooms and everything overlooking the highway. So I knew when you see blooms and bears and light, so my life was taken. And so I called on one of the online newspaper who covered my son's story when it first happened. And I shared it with her. And she said, oh, probably because you had an obstruction of the law. I said, I already did research, and there's no such thing with Bloomfield Township. And so she said, well, let me research. And she came back to me. She said, oh, it was 3 white kids' life was taken, but they left their memorial, but removed my son.
Wow.
I was livid.
That's typical.
That's online. This is not allegedly. This is online. And then after that, what I did, I wrote to, they got Bloomfield has a new mayor, and I wrote to it. And with the Junith thing, saying he for all the Afro-American community, so forth and so on. I said, well, I'm going to put his word to the test. So I wrote, and I said, I would like a proclamation in my son's name. First, they denounced it. They didn't prove it. And that was that. And I wrote it in August. And then after that, later on, they wound up improving it. I said, they asked me to come to their meeting. And I said, well, I'm not going to go to a meeting if it's general, it's not for my son. But they wound up did a proclamation November the 22nd is some kind of is a recognition of all the pedestrian lives has been taken around the world. And so November 22nd is recognized all the life is taken by the world in memory of my son. So I kept fighting that because all the lawyers I have, this will really bug me. Most of these attorneys in North Carolina and everything, when they fight for their people. These Black attorneys fight for their people. They just don't get like monetary gain. They get laws passed if they can get a street name or whatever in honor of that person's life was taken in vain. In New Jersey, nothing like that happened. These lawyers don't do that in New Jersey. I had to do the proclamation by myself. I had to reach out until the politician to get a law change. She drafted the law, but she drafted the law in 2019. So it's like take 2, 3 years or 4 years before it goes through or whatever. And I reached out to her to see what the status of the law. She never called me back.
Wow. So am I going to be riding through Bloomfield and see a Deshon Johnson Boulevard?
That's what I'm trying to fight for. And again, I'm doing it by myself. I told the politician, Bloomfield councilwoman, she said, oh, well, what we can do in your son's memory, we can plant a tree in the park because where's that is the park. I don't know if you know so much about Bloomfield, the area.
And, I know a little bit about it.
And if you do Google Map, you'll see what I'm talking about. What happened to my son, it was a park. It's a park there too. But is the bridge is there and behind under it is the park. And she like, we can do a plant a tree in his name. Mind you, I just saw a white person, a Caucasian person, memorial is still up there where his life was taken. So I said, no disrespect. I declined because when you do a memorial is when a person's life was taken. My son's life was not taken in the park. So what I did, I went to the area and I took a picture of the white person's life was taken and I sent it to her. I said, so if his memorial is right there where it happened at, my son's life should be the memorial should be the same place where his life where he took his last breath at, not in no park. And so she said, well, we're going to do a plaque, but you have to pay for the plaque. And we'll put the plaque there. That was in October. So I don't know. I haven't heard from her since, the councilwoman.
Wow.
So like I said, I'm doing this fighting for myself with the justice. And I'm like, yes, I want a street name there. And I know one of the like I said, some of these advocates and these people who here, they really they're no help. It's not like down south when they really protest. Because I remember when it first happened, one of the Montclair Patch, she said, your son life, what happened to your son is like Trayvon Martin's. I said, no, it's not, because he wasn't shot. She said, no, with the prosecutor covering it up, because like they covered his up like they did my son. I said, oh, because I couldn't understand the correlation until she broke it down. She said with the cup, because she also, the journalist also went to talk to the prosecutor, and they just blew her away. Channel 12 News, when they removed my son's memorial, they blew, the guy from Channel 12 News said, I don't know what conversation he had. He said, you make sure you find a good lawyer and take that back and charge that driver. He said, do you hear me? And so whatever happened, even when I went to the grand jury at the Essex County, the people from Fiber, I called Fiber, and the manager, he sent a reporter. So he said, anytime you need me, give me a call. So I was going to call. He said, anytime you want to article or come to the news, we will do that for you. When I called back, they said, oh, he's no longer there. Then I called
Wow.
the news reporter who covered it. They said she wasn't there either. Both of them not there, who came to the courts. All of a sudden they're gone. Both, not one, but both of them. And not only that, on the public transportation, there's cameras. The camera is gone. When we did the protest, when it first happened, somebody called in and said they was cleaning up the public transportation that the guy used to end my son's life. And he said, there's a video camera, get it. Gone.
Nothing.
And the lawyers that I had, like, oh, we checked, there was not one there. I said, that's a lie, because somebody called in and said it. He like, oh, there's no one, not there. Gone. And by law, go ahead.
We appreciate you coming on talking about this, because I know this couldn't have been, there's no way this could be easy. If you could, keep us posted. You have my information, write me, let me know what's going on. If you need us to cover something, if something's going on up north and I happen to be there, because like I said, I travel. So every few months I'm in New York, I'm in New Jersey, I'm up in those areas every few months. So you get in contact with me, anything we can do, anything we could possibly, I have somebody that's in New York City right now. If you want to sit down and have them cover the case with you as well, we have that, because we do have someone in New York City. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on with this, because like I said, I know this can't be easy, talking about brother Deshon. I hope you're not upset. I put his photo up here, because I wanted everybody to see who he was. And I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything planned for, I don't know, the rest of this year or the top of next year that you got going on? If you do, please let us know. If you have anything, do you have anything planned?
My energy been very low to really, because I didn't really have enough time to grieve. I just been fighting for justice for my son and this corruption. So no, I like you said, when you did research, I used to have something planned. But when I came up with the case file with all the corruption, I'm like, oh, heck no, this is not going to be covered up. After I read what I read and the witness helped me. So no, I don't have anything planned. I normally I used to do things on his birthday, March the 5th, like a fundraiser. Because what I did, I started Deshon College Scholarship Foundation. And I would give it to the schools that he attended. Kane University and Essex County College. I had. But I stopped doing that. I trying to sell the products that I do to raise money. because like I told you, I design, I do digital artwork as well as by hand, by scratch. And I trying to sell the clothing, the footwears, you name it, I do it to raise money to for the scholarship in his legacy, to continue on his legacy. And I'm just hoping and praying that the Deshon law will be passed to hold these drivers accountable, not, for my baby and all the other lives that taken in vain, because, they're somebody's loved one and we only have one life. And it's not right for a human being to take another life. That is not their job. And it's not right that the politician that you elect to put in office not do anything and blow away as if it's not anything, because it's not their loved ones.
Well, do us a favor. Stay in contact with us, Lady Naomi, if you will. Keep us posted on what's going on. If anything breaks, hit us up. You can always come back. Like I said, you have my information. Keep in contact with us. Hit me up whenever you want. Let me know what's going on up there in Jersey. And if I happen to, be in that area, maybe I'll drop you a line, and we can
meet up.
We can go ahead and we can record, out there. I'll bring everybody, with the camera equipment and all that kind of stuff. And we'll kind of, we can walk it and talk it, right out there. Like I said, I do have quite a bit of family in New Jersey, and I'm out there pretty often. So I may drop you a line and we can come out there and, film some of this stuff.
Yeah, I want to do a documentary. A lot of people keep asking me I should do a documentary on this. On my son's life and all the corruption that's going on. And they said that also will help, when you do a documentary, and probably you can, shoot it to one of these TV stations. Now you got a lot of them. You got a lot of streaming, Hulu, you name it. And send the documentary to them to get more exposure. Because one thing that politicians and trends and they all don't like is exposure after exposure, especially when you have a mass audience. If you're on a bigger platform, because as you see, then it raise awareness, and then after that, back in the old day, what people do, they would boycott things like this until something is being done.
Yeah,
they boycott. That's never happening. The first thing with these big companies, how you do it, you hit them in their pockets, you boycott them. So when people start riding the public transportation, guess what? It hits them. And then after that, you got to force these politicians to do something. So if it's not exposed, they figure, hey, it's gone away. But you keep keeping on media, it's forced them to do something.
Yeah, well, stay in contact with us. Stay in contact with us. Let us know what's going on. And if you need our help, just let us know. That's all. You let us know anything you need from us. And we'll work out something. All right?
Yes.
We will work out something.
I appreciate it. Did you hear my son's music?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I heard it. I mean, I went through a lot of the files, because I wanted to be up to speed with what was going on. Yeah. So, like I said, if you need anything from us, Lady Naomi, just let me know. Like I said, you got my info. Okay. So, all right. And I appreciate you coming on and thank you for doing this. All right. Thank you for doing this.
I appreciate you.
Stay in touch with us. Okay.
Okay. I shall.
All right. Peace.
Okay. Bye. How do I sign off of this?
Just exit out.
Okay.
Let's go. Take it easy, Lady Naomi.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Yeah, folks. I mean, it's crazy, when you think about, because like I said, man, a lot of people have been killed by these things in New Jersey. I mean, it's dangerous to catch a bus up there. According to Lady Naomi, they haven't done much to change it. over the 9 years since her son was killed by the bus. Um, and I know it's like more than 100 people get ran over by these buses like every year, man, since like 2008, I believe. And it's not getting any better. They're not changing the bus stops. They're not changing the bus driver protocol. They're not building different bus stops. They're not doing any of that. So obviously, they don't care. All right. We already know that. They don't give a damn. They're just going to do what they do. But what kind of baffles me is the cover up. The cover up of her son's case is like uncanny. Why? Like, why all the mystery? Why all the, what is that all about? Hopefully, Lady Naomi stays in contact with me, and we're gonna look into this case a little deeper, man. We're gonna track it down and see what the hell is going on. And if we find something that stinks, we're gonna follow the trail. And just from what she was telling me, something about this case stinks. So we're going to take a look at it and we're going to see what happens. And who knows, man, the next time I'm in Jersey, I may walk down that path where the brother was, with my cameras and all that kind of stuff. Because I am in Jersey from time to time. I got people there. All right. I have people in Jersey. So yeah, man, it's worth checking out. Y'all just go ahead, man, and punch in the name Deshon Johnson. That's Deshon Johnson, and y'all can get the full details of the story, and you also can get the full details of what Lady Naomi Johnson is doing, to try to seek justice for her son. I believe there was a civil settlement. They did give us some money, but I don't think she's really interested in the money. She wants to see something happen. She wants to see a law get passed. She wants to see, this dude who killed her son in jail. That him going to jail, it would probably be easier to get the law passed than to get this brother in jail. All right. Because it was a black man who ran him over now. There was a brother who did it. And what I'm thinking is that getting the law passed is probably going to be easier than getting him in jail, because the grand jury, they never charged him with anything. I believe they refused to indict. So, it's going to take a lot to get him in handcuffs, but it may not take as much to get a law on the books if enough people get up there, complain, talk about it, and start putting the screws to these legislators. So that may be a possibility. And like I said, hopefully Lady Naomi keeps in contact with us so we can, do whatever we can do, man. We'll do whatever we can do. All right. All right. And hopefully, if you're still listening, Lady Naomi, go ahead and hit me up and let me know. Whatever we can do, we'll do. But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up, folks. Before we go, though, y'all know I got to hit y'all in the head with T.P.O.T's programming notes. Yeah. Because tomorrow, good folk, Brother Amiri will be here, 8 p.m. Eastern time for the Amiri Challenge. Y'all know how the challenges go. I let a brother come up here and lay down his arguments and lay down his premises, and you get to come up and challenge him. So tomorrow, Brother Amiri will be here, man, 8 p.m. Eastern time, because y'all know we start a little earlier on Saturdays right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. You Negroes know. And then on Wednesday, it's the return of What About? And on Wednesday, we ask the question, what about our lost ones? Because we all have them, right? We all have them. We all have that brother who stay in and out of jail, right? We all have that auntie, that sister, that niece that gets high, steals, leaves her kids by themselves, people who you know, there's nothing you're going to be able to do with these people. Our lost ones. You know the ones we talk about. The ones we say will be left behind as we move forward, right? But guess what? Those people that we leave behind, guess what? They're our brothers, our sisters, our nieces, our nephews, our sons, our daughters, shit, our mothers and fathers. Some of them will be left behind. The lost ones. You know, the dope addicts, the habitual penitentiary stayers, the shiftless, the useless, the bums, the hoes, the people that no matter what, they will never change. And we know it. The lost ones. But see, those lost ones aren't just out there by themselves. They related to somebody. And some of them are related to us. So we're going to talk about it Wednesday, right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. You Negroes know. So, with that, I will leave you good folks with 3 words. You know. And before I go, I'm going to say this, man. I know we listen to these stories at times, and we're like, these stories don't matter. They mean nothing to me because it wasn't me involved. Not my daughter, not my son, not my brother, not my sister, not my mother, not my father. But what you folk have to understand is that it could be, man. It could be your people. It could be. Now, I know y'all used to me coming up here talking about people who got killed by the police, but this wasn't that kind of story. This young man was killed by a bus. A bus that he took quite regularly. He took this bus quite regularly for 2 weeks. This can happen to anybody, man. And like I said, from what I understand, those buses out there in Jersey, man, they kill a lot of folks every year. So something needs to be done. Something needs to change. Something needs to be different. Because that year that brother Deshon was killed, he wasn't the only one, man. I think they killed like 112 people that year. He was just one of them. So something needs to change. Something needs to be done different. And stories like this are important too. Now, I know people sit around and say, oh, man, all y'all do is talk about this, that, and the other thing. Lies, Negroes. Not here. Here we talk about a whole bunch of things. Yeah, I'm one of them dudes who'll get on here and talk about these old mamas. Yes, I do. But if you look into my goddamn archives, Negroes, you will also see mother after mother after mother after mother after mother that has been on this show talking about their child who had been killed. Look through my archives. So anybody who talking about all that gets talked about over here is one thing, you're telling a goddamn lie. And you know it. And you know it. Because guess what? We cover stuff like this too. I got a question for you Negroes who are always criticizing. Do you? Do you? The answer is no, you don't. So shut up, Negroes. Going to talk about T.P.O.T. You got to talk about T.P.O.T. in its entirety. Not just what you saw last week or the week before, the week before, the week before that. Look through my catalog, Negroes. You see all kinds of things in there. Just a heads up before you start talking about what we do here. You understand? Good. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap up, man. I appreciate everybody hanging out tonight, man. You could have been anywhere on a Friday night and you decided to be here. It is appreciated. It is appreciated. Special shout out to Lady Naomi Johnson for coming through tonight, man, and sharing her story with us. I know it wasn't easy to do. It is appreciated. And whatever updates Lady Naomi provides to me, I will provide them to you, Negroes. All right? All right. So, with that, I will leave you good folk with 3 words, you know, like I always do. Open your mind.
Dark exodus. Dark exodus. The protester. Dark exodus.
Open your mind.
You know.
Yeah, X. Dark exodus.
You understand?
Yeah, X.
You understand?
You know.
You understand?
Yeah, X.
Open your mind.
Dark Exodus. Dark Exodus. Dark Exodus. Dark Exodus.
Only from T.P.O.T. Media. Open your mind.